Now let's add some frosty eyes to this frosty face. We're going to use the AR library again and just type eye. And scrolling down, you'll see eye color. Select that and import that into the scene. And just like with the makeup block, we can drag this directly into the face tracker. And now we have colored eyes. Now let's adjust these colors to match the face. I've been using these two kind of blue teal colors, so I'll just keep with that. And if you want to go full cartoony, you can turn up the sclera opacity. But obviously that doesn't look super realistic, so we'll keep that pretty low. If anything, you might just want to turn it off. And that's already looking pretty good. You can see if we adjust the ambient light, that also adjusts the brightness of these eyes. So just keep that in mind when you're adjusting the colors. Now the way this eye color block works is that if we dive into it, we already talked about this early in the course, but just to review it quickly. So if you select this object inside of the block, you can see there's a full sphere. And on the front of the sphere, there's this iris information. And that comes from this eyeball material, which is created kind of inside of this eyeball shader block or patch group. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it's basically just taking all these inputs that you can adjust and adding or multiplying them together and spitting out eventually that iris shape. So that's one way of doing eyes. Another way of adding eyes directly onto a face is by using the face and then grabbing the eyeball. And we're not going to go all the way through this, but I'm just going to add a plane to demonstrate this. And this plane position, I'll make a little patch. And I need to make sure this is outside of the focal distance. And now I'll connect the left iris to the position. Oh, I made a mistake. We don't want to keep it outside of the face tracker. I think we actually do need it in there. And I'll scale this down. So now you can see if we zoom in here, this plane is following my eyeball position. And of course you can grab the rotation as well. And so you can have a 2D eye image track perfectly to the eyeball. And then you would just need a face mesh to use as an occluder. So when you close your eyes, you don't see it coming through. And both ways work fine. You can use environment maps to add reflections. You can do all sorts of cool stuff. But the eyeball block is just a really quick way to add some eye color into your scene. I noticed a little issue with our fog. If I open my mouth, it is very apparent that the lips are rendered in front of the fog. And that's because we calculate the fog first, because this renders from top to bottom, and then we render all the face stuff. And the fog material, if you remember, is ignoring the depth and the depth buffer. So if we drop this underneath this face tracker, it will render after, meaning it should render in front of. So that didn't work because this is the scene fog and not the actual mouth fog. If we dip in here and grab this mouth fog null, drag this underneath all these other objects, now the mouth fog renders in front of the rest of the stuff because, again, it's rendered after all these render first.